Good afternoon, everyone. We are here in Slaughterhouse Print Studio, and I'm going to demonstrate you your second lesson of the Exploring Lino Cut course. As promised, we are going to look at the tools we are using. Hannah, if you could just show quickly the tools. Those are the knives. I'm going to demonstrate the second stage of the lino cut. Here I've prepared already the drawing that I'm going to cut out, and that's exactly what you've been doing in the session as well. You may not have used the Sarol paper, but decided to do it with the tracing paper and lead pencil, which you're going to erase later after cutting. Now, Hannah, if you could point to the press, that's an Albion, wonderful Albion press, and I've tested it out, so that's the right pressure for our lino cut. Then in the far end of the studio there is a nipping press, which also can be used for lino cut. This is the nipping press, and we're not going to go upstairs, but upstairs there's a little copying press, which is it's more useful because it's smaller, and the distance from here to there is less, so it's faster to use. Behind here is an etching press, and we have used with lino runners on both sides. We've used that at Granville Park. So if I go back to the tools, I've uploaded you a handout with these wood block cutting tools. This is a Japanese wood carving tool set, 5 pieces, and the handout looks like this. You find it on the Moodle side. Like you will find this video also on the Moodle side. I've got a little tabletop that will help me not to cut myself, so I can press the lino against it into the cutting direction. If you don't have this, it's also possible to get just a piece of wood, and if you happen to have clamps, clamp it in on both sides of the table. So that's a way of doing. That's what I've always done when teaching children. So a long piece on a long table of wood, so everyone can carve against the same piece of wood. So now the tools, I've already, and I just point to the hot plate over there. There's my little piece of lino, and it's not very warm for some reason, so maybe that takes some time. I have to speed that up. Yeah, so it hasn't worked yet, but that's how you heat up the lino to make it easier to cut. Anyway, I'm going to now, it's quite stiff, but I'm still going to show you the tools. So as my first studies was in Japanese studies, I'm really fond of Japan, and you can see that I've written all the Japanese kanjis on the handout as well. So this one is called hangi-to. To meaning sabre, and some of them are called suki, meaning spade. So this is the hangi-to, and the hangi-to you actually cut towards yourself. So you hold it like this and cut down. So the tabletop is not much of a use because you're going to hold it and cut towards yourself. Then you turn it, and then you can cut against that line, and it should come out. You're all familiar with my demonstrations, that it's not straightforward. and then the finer lines, try to do finer lines against it. And even the scoring with one line would leave a mark in the lino and in your print. So that's the hangi tool. The next one is the Aisuki. You hear the suki for a spade. This one can be also used to cut against a line. Then in this set you find two of the tools that are both called komatsuki, and you have a small komatsuki. It is a sho or a ko komatsuki. I think it's sho komatsuki, chisai komatsuki, and this one is the larger one, which is just called komatsuki. And here we use this against the wooden batten. You could stipple it like this to get a texture. So, and let's just see the finer one. So, gentle pressure gives a smaller cutout, and if you dig in, it gets wider. It's common sense. And then the final one is called sankakuto. It's the V-shape knife blade. Do you see? And this is also possible with this one to cut fine lines. So for example, if you want to go around, and then you turn it and go further. So this is just a quick thing to show you these knives. And then I have finer ones. You can all order them from Intaglio. I'm going to put this supplier handout up on the site as well. So this one is a round blade. So it is called komatsuki, and it's a very small one. They come, these very 1 millimeter ones, they come in V shape and in round shape. So fine details, I would suggest to use them. They're still quite cheap, and I've got one slightly more expensive, but does the same thing. I just wanted to treat myself for a little bit upmarket version, but saying I can't really see the difference. It's a very fine line. So this, for my seaweed, I'm now going to use this one. So I'm going to sit down and cut this one carefully. So when you do your drawing, you can decide, you have to decide if you want to cut the yellow lines or if you want to cut the in-between. So I've decided that I want the yellow to disappear, the yellow drawing to disappear. So what I cut out will stay in this color. And I will work in a few stages on the seaweed because I'm aiming for the seaweed to be, this is the seaweed. I'm going to, the seaweed to have multi layers of color. So you actually can just have little lines of this green that I've printed before. And even I haven't heated this up, it works wonderful. Even if you don't have this security lock, just make sure your hand is behind the cutting tool, and so I press with this side and guide my direction with the other index finger. So you see it's like a little stirring wheel. So I'm going to not bore you with more cutting, so the film can stop. Okay, in the meantime I've finished cutting, and I've also I've mixed the ink. I'm going to go for a yellow to be printed over these backgrounds, and also I have tested the pressure of the press, and just on a piece of not cut lino. Now I'm going to soak the paper like we've done in the past. Leave it in here for a few minutes. And then I'm going to plot it, leave it in a few minutes, plot it here, and going back now to my cut. And what I have to find out now, if I've cut deep enough or if I have to recut. So I'm going to make sure, ink this carefully. I've chosen quite a hard roller, but the hard roller was unfortunately not wide enough, but never mind. So you see I'm going to apply a few thin layers onto the lino. So I have to build it up. Still a line in the middle which I want to get rid of. But anyway, this is first a test. I haven't soaked and dampened the paper that I've previously printed. I'm going to put this on the registration sheet. And turning it. I don't want it too damp. But anyway, this is just a test. So to test if the pressure is correct, and I already recognize that the cutting is all right. Oh, it's a bit on the damp side. And then line it up here. More. Tissue on the top. And that's a blanket. It's a rubber blanket, perfect for relief. Push this one in. And let's hope. So it's very difficult to see now. I'll just put it on the table to see the cutting because of the yellow. Can you actually see it on in the film? So now we pose. Wait a second, don't pose it yet. But I'm going to say we're going to pose the film again. We haven't figured out now how to pose it and then to start it again in one go. So this is a bit of a new thing for us, taking films of the demonstrations. So we're going to pose it shortly, and I'm going to soak the papers. But you don't need to see that one. Just time consuming. So we'll be back in 10 minutes. Hello, welcome back. So what I've been doing in the last half an hour is inking my lino block and going through the little addition. As you can see, it's a very subtle change. Do you see the seaweed lines? So I've then chosen a slightly different color and got even darker with adding a little bit of gold to it just for this film. Initially I wanted a really subtle change, so I think if I wouldn't film this now and go through it as normal, I would have stuck with this light yellow, but let's see where this gold will take us. So there's another one I'm going to demonstrate. So one more is in here. I'm going over here and place the liner on the top, already rolled. Lining it up. Turning it over. Take this on the top. And now to reveal the print. There it goes. So you see fine lines, and it's going to build up with more. So I will incorporate some of this color into the seaweed. And then let me just quickly take, Hannah, you show this film. So we're here so far. So you see more lines will be added in a different color, texture here, and different colors in all those fields. And that was my initial photograph. What I also wanted to show you, and that's the last film for today, so we're going to stop again. I'm going to set it up, is because you haven't got a press, how you're going to do the hand rub. So one final demonstration, and I see you in 10 minutes. Hello back. So now quickly the demonstration for the hand rubbing. I've used a Japanese baron or the back of a spoon. So I've inked up my plate, registration in here, like, get the paper, and the paper has been soaked and blotted, lining it up. And in this case I'm going to put a sheet of plastic on the top as well, because otherwise I would rub the paper and it just would disintegrate. So this will take a little while. Rubbing it evenly using your body weight. Just have a, let's just do a little bit more, and then we can have a peek. So if I hold this down and have a peek, you see it's transferring, and it's transferring with a little bit of a texture. That's very normal for the hand rubbing. Oh. Just see if it's this one I've done earlier. And I'm going to use the spoon as well. All over. Takes quite some time and I'm already breathless. So I want to spend a little bit getting a little bit more ink transferred. There you go. Oh, it's actually like this. It's quite nice in the golden color. Okay, now maybe now I can demonstrate quickly still the tidying up. So tidying up, scrape over and take as much off as you can onto the newspaper. to pour some oil and then work the oil in all over. With the filming is always, now I'm going to do this for 10 minutes. So you keep doing this until you loosen all the oil paint. Keep doing this, and then I take a rag and wipe it all off. But I'm not taking a rag until really I've loosened all the corners here on this glass. And then I wipe it up with a with a rag, wipe it off with a rag, and then just with washing up liquid soap, rinse the palette, the glass, and let it dry. What else do we need to know? Maybe you could have a quick look over here. I'm going to put tissue paper on the top of these prints. One, two, foot of ink. Because I've got golden handshoes, and because we were printing heavily, there is no board left, so I would then put this one over on the top, and weigh it down with the heavy Lino stones, and leave it for a few days. Okay, I see you soon. Keep safe and happy. Bye bye.